Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Nice to see you all. I'm Nolan, a licensed practitioner here at the center, and it is my privilege to welcome you here this morning on this first day of spring. A little cloudy and cold, but it's still spring. Welcome to the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. We are committed to personal and collective spiritual growth in a supportive environment, and our mission is to be love in action, transforming lives, transforming communities. If you're fairly new to our community, check out our website at ABQCSL.org for more information and how you can become a part of what we do here. And to those of you online, please drop a line so we know you're here. We'd love to know that you're here. Today we start a new series based on a quote by Ernest Holmes. Love points the way. Law makes the way possible. Boy, that can mean a lot of things. For me right now, excuse me, love has pointed the way for me being up here, because it is not easy for me to be in front of a group of people like this. But I knew long ago when I came to this center that I was committed to my spiritual growth, going beyond my comfort zone, getting beyond anything that blocked me from being my best self. So I know when love points the way, things do happen. Anything is possible. And another example of love pointing the way here in this community is the beauty. All of you, this incredible altar behind me, the many hands that make this service possible. Wherever we gather, there is beauty because there is love. And wherever we go on a new adventure, we will create the same. Because wherever we go, spirit is. Wherever spirit is, love is. So with that, let us anchor this in prayer. Let's go within. Knowing that spirit is everywhere present, all the time, in all of life, in me, in you. Those of you in person, thank you for showing up. Those of you online, always thank you for showing up. Spirit leads your way here. And I'm so grateful to be here on this Sunday morning. And I give thanks for Reverend Amani and our special guests today, and to the AV team who makes all our online services possible, to all the practitioners, to all our congregants who show up. We are a force of love. I know that love is all there is. God is all there is. And I say, thank you, God, and so it is.
At this time, I would like to acknowledge our High Watch practitioners, Kelly Sangden and Dean Hildpote. It is now time for our prayer request lighting ceremony, and Dino, our Dino, will be helping to light the candles. So for those of you online, I ask you to please place your prayer request or a candle emoji in the comment section or in the chat feed. And for those of you in person, you may begin to come forward, take your candle, and light it. And if you would like to speak your prayer request aloud, you may use the standing mic. You may join me now. Thank you.
Good morning. I got a prayer request this morning from my niece, Jasmine Corral, and she wanted me to read it to you. She said, a couple of people who really need some love are my friend Noah. May her body heal, in particular her back and her ability to walk. May she be the healthiest she's ever been. And my friend Kai, may she find love and success. May God help her get out of the depression and into the light. And to Jackie and Vlad, may they be blessed with abundance. And for me, Jasmine, knowing I am purchasing a home in the coming weeks, and that home is all that I want and need. And so it is.
I lit a candle for peace.
A candle for Joyce. If you're watching, Joyce, we love you.
We're lighting a candle for Laura Maness. We're lighting a candle for Joanna Clark. We are lighting a candle for Renee Ford. We are lighting a candle for Lynn Peavy. We are lighting a candle for Michelle. We are lighting a candle for Malcolm. We are lighting a candle for Ken. Cat. And Ken. There's a Ken out there who's requesting prayer, apparently. We are lighting a candle for Cat. We are lighting a candle for our four-legged friend in Canada, Shakespeare. We are lighting a candle for Elizabeth. We are lighting a candle for Lori Martinez. And now, as Clarissa plays the singing bowl, allow our attention to go to every single request that was made, spoken and unspoken, known and unknown, for our community as we continue the adventure that we are embarking on, for all the love in our hearts. And so it is.
Good morning, beloveds. Oh, how much do I love the prayer time we spend together every Sunday. I just love this addition we've made. And believe it or not, it is a gift of COVID. Who knew? Who knew that COVID would gift us with so much goodness? And how much am I loving those beloveds praying with us in the back? Hey, kiddos. For those of you online, we have some extra special guests who have been gracing us with their presence today. Hey, guys. All right. So Jan shared with you that we are beginning a new series that will run for the next 4 weeks. And love points the way and law makes the way possible is sort of the grounding idea in this series. And Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, Science of Mind, Centers for Spiritual Living, talked towards the end of his life that one thing he would do differently is talk and teach and preach more on love. He talked a lot about law, but not so much about love. So I want to share a little bit about how these two things work together. From Ernest Holmes in the textbook Science of Mind, all is love and yet all is law. Love rules through law. Love is the divine's givingness. Law is the way. Love is spontaneous. Law is impersonal. And so I want to invite you right now to just take this idea that there's love and there's law, and it's all God. It's all spirit. It is all the divine, whatever name you want to give it, it is all love and law. And so take a moment and go with me into a little bit of curiosity. What does love points the way and law makes the way possible have to do with you? Get curious. What does this idea have to do with you? Are you curious yet? All right, Vicki, what's it got to do with you? Creating and manifesting. Vicki says creating and manifesting. And if you're online, feel free to put your comments in the feed. What does love and law have to do with you? Everything. Good answer. Good answer. One of the things Ernest says in that piece from our text is divine givingness is the love that Spirit is always giving us, and law is the way. So what if this divine givingness is a seed Spirit is planting in our gardens every day? This divine givingness, which is one of our principles, which is this idea of infinite love that is never missing, ever available, and not just this like etheric, beautiful, like, oh, when I'm sitting on my meditation cushion or when I'm in prayer or when I'm walking the labyrinth or whatever your spiritual practices may be, that's when I have some access to love, to God. But what if this divine givingness, this love pointing the way, is something that is being planted in your individual consciousness all day long, every day, ever available, never missing. And that there is no like, some people get planted the good stuff and some people don't. One of the things Ernest said in that quote was that the law is impersonal, which I can tell you when I first came to this teaching, I hated that idea. I was like, why wouldn't it be personal? Like, that's mean. But what that means is there is no favored and not favored. That divine givingness, that infinite possibility is available to all of us. which means it's available to you. And it points us. Love points the way. Love points the way. Not overthinking, not law made by humans. Don't get me started on that. We could spend a whole series just on human law and how not pointing the way it is. But love points the way. Law makes the way possible. So one of the reasons why this is probably my number one favorite go-to quote in our teaching is it because it reminds me in my human self, that human self that really wants to get my hands all in it and think I can micromanage life, thinks that I can somehow control life, reminds me that, oh, the law's got it, God's got it. I actually don't need to worry about how. Because the law is always in motion. Spiritual principle is always moving and responding to our consciousness. My only job, your only job, is to stay close to love's lead. The rest sorts itself out. I don't have to be all up in it. Where my effort lies, where my labor lies, where my work lies, is discerning and experiencing and being conscious of the divine givingness of the one that is always pointing me in the next right step, the next loving action. And what's beautiful about this is it means that there's a place to rest. There's a place to step outside of worry. There's a place to step outside of what we think is safety and security, which is usually what we're busying ourselves with. We're usually afraid that something is going to go awry, that there's not going to be enough, that somebody's going to do something awful. And so then we want to somehow control that outside circumstance. And we don't have to. And when we get in trouble is when we let those outside circumstances control us and get in the way of this incredible gift that Spirit gives to us every day, all day long. What Ernest Holmes called the impulse of love. He says in the text that the impulse of love is planted by the divine. And and I know it's a stretch sometimes for us to really wrap our brains around that there is only one. There is this incredible force that is good, that is love itself and law. And that when we allow ourselves to really begin to claim that as the truth, that means there can't be anything outside of it, which means you cannot be outside of this love. Which means it is right where you are all the time, and you have access to it. And that the simplest thing we can do as people on a spiritual path, as people who are interested in spiritual growth, if there's only one thing you do in your spiritual life, it is follow love's lead. That's it. If you just need to break it down and be like, I can't read any more books, I can't follow any more rules, I just need one thing to do. This is your one thing. Abide in love. Abide in that impulse that is being planted in you by the divine. And what I can guarantee is it's there. Even when you're scared, Even when you feel like there is some part of your life that is just crumbling, even when you feel like life itself is crumbling. When there are supply chain delays, when there are things missing on the shelf in the grocery store, love is still there. That impulse is still being planted in you. Life does not control God. We surely do not, as much as we think we do. If I just think the right thoughts, if I just get the right people around me, if I just go on the diet, save the money, get in the right relationship, then my life will be working well enough, and then maybe I can find some God. Maybe, which is one of my favorite strategies when I'm really flipping out, if God would just listen to this prayer and, like, I am praying the really right words. I've said it in all the right ways. Why isn't God listening to me? Anybody? Anybody mad at God sometimes because God doesn't seem to be hearing it right? I would offer, we may not be hearing it right. We may be so tuned in to what is happening here in the world. We may be so tuned into our fear and our worry. We may be so busy figuring it out that we miss the infinite givingness of the one. That every solution we seek, that every next right step that we are trying to figure out how to take, every single one of those answers and the capacity and the power to do it lives in this divine givingness. This impulse of love that is being planted in you every moment of every day, always. So what do we have to do? What is ours to do to be in connection to that divine impulse? Because I'm telling you, it's not negotiable. If you are sitting there right now, and I can hear some of you in my head, so I know you are. If you are sitting there right now like some people have that divine impulse, I ain't got that divine impulse. I got missed in the divine impulse department. No, you didn't. That is actually not one of the possibilities because God is all there is. You are not somehow existing somewhere outside of the one. You did not get missed. Guaranteed. Now, do you need some skills in the listening department? Maybe. Do you need some help maybe getting what's in the way out of the way so you can hear better? Do you need to learn how to quiet the noise so you can feel the impulse? Likely. We all do. That is truly where the work of spiritual growth and transformation lives. Is we've got to become incredible listeners. We've got to decide the most important thing in our lives, the most important thing in our lives. And I'm a mom, so I get it. Mamas, I get it. We think our kids are. They're not. Abiding in love is. Everything else comes from that. Anything we want to do that is great, anything we want to do that is good, anything we want to do that is meaningful, anything we want to impact in the outer world comes from love. And when we stay close to that, when we abide in that divine givingness, when we allow ourselves to consciously accept the seeds that are being planted by the divine every moment, all things become possible, right? All things are possible in God. Another one of my favorite sacred text quotes from the Bible. All things are possible in God. And the good news is we don't have to worry about how. We don't have to worry about figuring it out. One of my red flags when I know that I am a little bit out of alignment and need to probably quiet down a bit is when I'm figuring stuff out. Anybody else big figurers? Yeah, me too. You can raise your hand, just put your little hand up online, guys, because I know this is a cultural issue, right? We think somehow in our individual humanity that somehow we can figure out life. But I want to bring you back to how big life is. The greater reality, we like to call it in Science of Mind in the New Thought community, the greater reality, which is capital G and capital R, the reality that is God, we don't have the management skills. It is not ours to orchestrate this reality. It is ours to stay close to the truth of who we are, to stay on purpose as divine emanations of the One. And anything we could ever need to figure out, to manage, to even micromanage, because we just keep busying ourselves with that. It all is handled if we can follow this one thing, love's lead. Capital L love. Capital L love, which is Spirit's divine givingness to us, being planted in our own beings all day long. Our only job is to get next to it, to feel it, to sense it, to discern it, to hear it, and then act on it. One of the things that I know about what gets in the way is how we move our attention when we're scared. And there's a lot to be scared about these days, yeah? So one of our great, great tasks ahead of us is to go, oh, I am freaking out. I am like, I can feel the fear in my body. Fear feels a certain way. If you notice that you've got fear going on in your body, that is Spirit's point to come back to love. Come back, beloved, I'm right here, still planting, still giving. Fear is not the problem. What we do with fear can be problematic. Here's what's beautiful. Anybody garden? You know I love my garden metaphors. I'm a gardener. Does everybody who gardens feel like weeds are a problem? Right? Every spring I'm like, why are you coming back? Why I gotta pull you again? But here is something that is beautiful about weeds. They are beneficial. But we must understand what to do with them. Rather than be mad that those weeds just keep cropping up, we can go, whoa, what can I do with you? I see you, weed. I see you. Let me understand what you are, why you are here, and then make good use of you. Let me turn you into mulch. Let me turn you into some compost and feed the things that I actually want to grow. Fear is not a problem. Anger is not a problem. What we do with it depends on our understanding and our willingness to just go, woo, yep, that's happening. Fear is all up in the mix right now. Rage, anger, blame, victimization. They're going to happen. It is part of the human experience, and nothing is outside of God, not a thing. because God is all there is. So how can you make good use of what is showing up in your garden? Because Spirit is planting good stuff in you, always. So if there's a weed showing up, if there is a thought form that you cannot seem to let go of, if your mind is spinning on figuring it out, ask yourself, how can I make good use of this? How can I take this fear, this worry, this circumstance that I really don't like, and make good use of it, turn it into compost? How can I put it in the right place in my being and make room for what I would like to grow? But what that means is we must be willing to get into our bodies. I think many of us in spiritual communities think somehow that what's happening in our bodies, these feelings and these emotions and blah, blah, it's also very messy. It is not outside of God. So it must have goodness. It must have a possibility for good, because God is good. So rather than be in deep resistance, rather than be in denial, rather than think there's something wrong with you because you've got fear, or because you're angry, or because you feel victimized, consider that Spirit is moving for good in all moments, at all times, and that you can take that fear and go, woo, what you trying to tell me? What do I need right now so that I can come back to love? What can I learn from this anger, from this fear, from this difficult situation, whatever may be happening in your lives? And I'm going to give you an opportunity to have that practice right now. Take a minute right now. Look at the garden of your life. Where are the most weeds? Are they in your relationships? Is it in your health? Is your bank account weedy? Is your thought process weedy? Take a moment and just scan the landscape of your life. Where are the most weeds right now? Are you terrified about what's happening in the world and don't know how to reel that fear in? Now I want you to just take a moment and know that God is right there. Right in that fear, right in that anger, right in that worry, right in whatever circumstance right now in your life feels unmanageable and you don't know how to figure it out. And thank God you don't know how to figure it out, because God does. How can I allow that to speak to me so that I can put it in its right place? How can I allow myself to just feel that feeling, whatever it is, locate it in my body, give it some attention, and then let it pass right on through so I can make it useful in its right place? And know that right underneath that, right underneath the worry, right underneath the fear, right underneath the anger, right underneath whatever discomfort you are feeling right now, there is love. There is an impulse that wants to guide you in the next right step, and you can get to it, and the only place I know we can get to it is in our bodies. So whether you are someone who hears the voice of God, that still small voice, whether you are someone who notices things out in the world that suddenly light up for you and you're like, wait, that looks like it could be a symbol. whether you are someone who can feel the bubbling up of love giving you an impulse to move, all of that happens because we have bodies. And here's what I want you to know is you can learn to discern this impulse. The simplest way I know to do it is to move towards joy. The wonderful thing about joy is it's an actual emotion. An emotion simply means energy moving, which is a discernible, feelable thing in our bodies, and it's a characteristic of the divine. It's that sweet spot that we have access to as humans. So when you move towards joy, it's a really great strategy for following the divine givingness of the one. To follow love's lead. One of the ways that I do that is I have a very distinct experience of joy in my body. It feels like a little bit of champagne inside. It just bubbles up. I call it delight, but delight and joy are synonymous to me. And I can feel it. And if there is something that I am moving towards in my life that does not have the bubbly, it's a no. People talk a lot about if they have a full body yes. Yes, have you heard that idea? Right? You don't say yes until it's a full body yes. I don't always know how to feel that. Anybody else struggle with like, what is a full body yes? How do I know that? Like, is it my toe in it? But I know the bubbly. And so that is one of my strategies to stay close to the one, to abide in love. Glennon Doyle, in her podcast, I've listened to one of her podcasts recently, and it is called You Can Do Hard Things. It's a great podcast. I highly recommend it. But she talked about moving towards what is warm. That's her strategy. She feels a warmth in her body when she knows she's on the right track. So you can learn how to feel that in your own body. And if it's moving you towards joy, if it's moving you towards delight, if it's moving you towards warm, you're on the right track. You can trust your capacity to discern the one moving in you, guiding you, is actually happening. Because that's the other place I think we fall, is we don't trust that guidance, even though it's always there. How many of you look back on maybe not great choices and go, ooh, I knew better. I knew that was not the person for me. I knew that was not the job for me. I knew that was not the house for me. Whatever the thing you knew with hindsight. How did you know? What was that little ding, 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 ding happening in your being? Because you have evidence, I guarantee it. Every single one of you can look back on your life and go, ooh, yeah, I knew. Now, take those weeds from your garden and make use of them. Put them in their right place. Learn from it. Ernest Holmes. The evolution of one's consciousness brings with it the acquisition of new powers and higher possibilities. The evolution of your consciousness brings with it greater possibility. Your evolution, or as we like to say around here, your transformation, which is what we are up to, right? We want to transform, we want to grow. We want to be able to, in our own consciousness, have a manifest experience of more good for ourselves and for every life on this planet. And the way we do that is we get better at abiding in love. We get better at following love's lead. at learning and trusting, having faith that the one is giving itself to us infinitely, without fail, no matter what. No matter what you've done, no matter what is happening around you. This is it. This is the one thing. If you want a one thing kind of spirituality, this is it. Abide in that love. There is a true north in you. There is a compass that Spirit has given you to follow. And you can. You absolutely can. And I want to tell you why. This prayer that I have shared in bits and pieces a lot this year already is an ancient Zoroastrian prayer that predates Islam, predates Christianity, predates many, many, many of the world's religions that we're familiar with, and yet the prayer has not quite made itself manifest in humanity on this planet. So I believe we need to keep praying it. Join me. With bended knees, with hands outstretched, do I yearn for the effective expression of the Holy Spirit working within me. For this love and understanding, truth and justice, for wisdom to know the apparent from the real, that I might alleviate the sufferings of all on earth. God is love, understanding, wisdom, and virtue. Let us love one another. Let us practice mercy and forgiveness. Let us have peace, born of fellow feeling. Let my joy be of altruistic living, of doing good to others. Happiness is unto one from who happiness proceeds to any other human being. And until that prayer is made manifest, our work is not done. And when we choose to make the most important thing abiding in love and following its lead, that simpler, kinder, more delightful life we all long for not only starts to come into being for ourselves, but for life itself. And I know you can do it. I watch you do it all the time. I love you so much. Let's anchor this together in prayer by saying amen. And so it is.
Good morning. I think I have this backwards. I am Clarissa Crow, and this is my friend Lynn Carpenter, who was so kind to come today and sing a little song with me for you guys. So Lynn is actually the one that found this song and taught it to me, and I thought it would be perfect for this beautiful first day of spring and this new series that we're moving into. We just completed our series on oneness in community. Now we're moving into this beautiful series on discerning that impulse of love and acting upon it. And we see that impulse of love expressing in the forces of nature and that balance and harmony that has to happen in order for life to happen. And I know that we are not separate from that, and that this idea of wholeness is not just about our individual wholeness, but about it's a collective thing, right? We all need each other to be whole, and we each need to bring our gifts forward in order for that wholeness to be fully expressed. So we are going to sing you this song, and we also have a little gift that we're going to be passing out, a spring equinox gift for those of you here in person. All right. Start with a shaker so we can get a tempo. Okay. When the rain's falling down from the cloudy skies, it's the father healing the mother. When the ocean breeze is blowing and the rivers flowing, it's the mother healing the father. And the mother needs the father to be green, green, green. And the father needs the mother to be born. And a sister needs a brother like a child needs a mother. And we all need each other to be whole. Yeah, we all need each other to be whole. When the rain's falling down from the cloudy skies, it's the father healing the mother. And when the ocean breeze is blowing and the rivers flowing, it's the mother healing the father. And the mother needs the father to be green, green, green. And the father needs the mother to be born. And a sister needs a brother like a child needs a mother. And we all need each other to be whole. Yeah, we all need each other to be whole. When the rain's falling down from the cloudy skies, it's the father healing the mother. And when the ocean breeze is blowing and the rivers flowing, it's the mother healing the father. And the mother needs the father to be green, green, green. And the father needs the mother to be born. And a sister needs a brother like a child needs a mother. And we all need each other to be whole. As we all need each other to be whole. When the rain's falling down from the cloudy skies, it's the father healing the mother. And when the ocean breeze is blowing and the rivers flowing, it's the mother healing the father. And the mother needs the father to be green, green, green. And the father needs the mother to be born. And a sister needs a brother like a child needs a mother. And we all need each other to be whole. Yes, we all need each other to be whole. One more time. When the rain's falling down from the cloudy skies, it's the father healing the mother. And when the ocean breeze is blowing and the rivers flowing, it's the mother healing the father. And the mother needs the father to be green, green, green. And the father needs the mother to be born. And a sister needs a brother like a child needs a mother. And we all need each other to be whole. Yes, we all need each other to be whole. Thank you. And now I'd love to invite up our special guest, Imam Abdur Raouf and Reverend Amani.
Beautiful. We all need each other to be whole. And I'm so, so delighted because love definitely pointed us to each other and our communities to each other. And I'm so excited about the relationship between Manara Muslim Community Center, which we are sharing space with, and all that's blossoming in our connection. And Manara's getting prepared for their holy days of Ramadan coming up, and I invited Imam to come and talk about ways we might participate in that.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of God be with you. What I wanted to start it off with was a reading from the Holy Quran that speaks of the commonality that we have as human beings, that speaks to us, God is speaking to us as Muslims, of the commonality and the things that we should reach outwards towards the community at large. And this is from the Holy Quran, from Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat or verse 177. In the name of God, the most compassionate, most merciful. It is not righteousness that ye turn your faces towards the east or west, but it is righteousness to believe in God and the last day and the angels and the books and the messengers, to spend of your substance out of love for him, for your kin, for the orphan, for the needy, for the wayfarer, for those who ask, and for the ransom and freedom of slaves, to be steadfast in prayer and practice regular charity, to fulfill the contracts which ye have made, and to be firm and patient in pain and suffering and adversity, and throughout all periods of panic. Such are the people of truth, the God-fearing. And so, for us, in this ayat, I want to relate that God tells us that it's not that we turn our faces to the east or to the west, and this is a reference to Muslims about our rituals that we perform. That God is telling us that it's not the rituals that you perform that make you righteous, but it's believing in the oneness of the Creator, that there is one Creator, that there is one God. And we may all have different names for him. We may have different books that we worship, that we read and follow. We may believe in angels or not. We may believe in the prophets or not. But there's one thing that we all share in common that God tells us to do, and that's to spend of our substance. And what is that substance? When God tells us, spend of your substance, that substance is the love, the compassion, the mercy, the kindness that's in all of us. We can all find that within ourselves. And to take that kindness and spend it on kith and kin. In other words, on your family. And not just your family, that's your blood relations, but our family of humankind. We're all family. We're all, even now, according to science, based on our DNA, we can see that we have one root, that we come from one source, that we come from one people, that we spend that love not just on family that is blood relations, but the family of humankind. And that we not only spend it on family, but Allah tells us, God, and Allah is just the Arabic word for God. It just means God in Arabic. That God tells us that we should also spend that substance on the orphan. And not just a physical orphan, some kid that doesn't have a mother or father, but those that do not have family. We have to reach out to them and give of that love and of that compassion. And for the wayfarer, those who are traveling, those that travel in our lives, that come in and out of our lives. We may know them, we may not know them, but it's our responsibility, it's incumbent on us to love the wayfarer. And just even the person who asked. This is what's amazing, that God tells us your responsibility is not just for those that you know, but it's those that you don't know. And it extends even for those who ask your help, or those who don't have the ability even to ask for help. And to free the slaves, and there's all kinds of slavery today. There's slavery to gambling and drugs and money. We can go, there's a whole list. To help the human being to free themselves from those oppressions that we put on ourselves. To be steadfast, all of us can pray. To be steadfast in praying and worshiping the Creator, and to practice regular charity. In other words, to give to people who are in need. And these are things that we can all do, that we can all share together, and to be firm. See, we're in a time right now where fear can overcome us. It can overwhelm us. But as people of faith, people of God, people of heart and love, we have to be firm and patient through all of this pain and suffering that we're going through and adversity. And God tells us through all periods of panic, this is a thing that we have to do. And then he tells us the people who do these things, the people who love God, worship him, and are a service to each other and a service to this creation, to the sky, to the oceans, to the animals of this earth. These are people of truth and people who are God-fearing. And in Islam, the fearing of God isn't this adrenaline fear. It's having the fear of doing nothing that displeases the Creator. And so in this ayat, I find that we can come together in common ground, as if we've come together here with this community, in our community, coming together and working together to be of service to the community outside. And I want to invite everybody, the holy month of Ramadan is coming, where we fast for 30 days from sunrise to sunset. We have no food, no water, and then when the sun sets, then we can have a meal. To invite you to partake in that with us, every Saturday we have what's called the iftar. So we would like to invite your community to come and break fast with us. It's at 7:30 during the month of April. Please come. It's a potluck. Please bring your favorite dishes to share with us, and we'll share with you. But what I want to say is my community is eager, excited to work with you, and hopefully the feeling is mutual, to be of service to each other. First of all, to each other, to be compassionate and kind, and to get to know each other. There's a lot of misconceptions that non-Muslims have about Muslims. There's a lot of misconceptions that Muslims have about non-Muslims. Let's wipe those away with kindness, with love, with compassion, getting to know each other on a personal basis, and then even more important, to come together to be of service to the community at large, with the different programs that we have, that you have, and the programs that we will, inshallah, come together with. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
How beautiful is that? So I'd like to put some of that into practice right now by welcoming the wayfarer. If you're joining us for the first time, we are blessed by your presence, and I know there's a lot of you here. Specifically, I would like to point out some wayfarers from Colorado Springs, Amanda and Andrea, I don't know which one it is, Andrea. And they brought their beautiful young families here. And they let me know that they're part of this larger community, and they belong to a CSL in Colorado Springs and have grown up in these teachings. And I could see them all during Amani's talk nodding, and I was like, okay, I see you. But anyway, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'd like to take a minute again and speak around our mission. First leg of our mission is called being love in action. And the good news about that is you cannot help. You've already successfully completed that part of our mission simply by showing up today. So give yourselves credit for that. And I would like to just take 30 seconds to, as Jan so beautifully said this morning, get a little bit outside of our comfort zone and just take 30 seconds in silence and look around this room. I had the benefit of doing that all service from the back, and my heart is full. So just take a minute and look around at the faces and the people who are emanations of love in action, just simply by showing up in the room. You didn't have to do anything other than show up together, and you have created an energy. Last time I was here, I missed the last service, but last time I was here, I was kind of speaking to that aura energy. Can you not feel the love that is you intersecting with the love that is the person to your right and left, which is where I was going to go next. And I can also feel that coming through the feed as I'm on Facebook and YouTube. We are all connected. You do not have to be in this building to know and to feel that. And for those of you at home, I wanted you to know that that gift that Clarissa spoke that we gave out in this room is also available to everybody online. And it is a package of beautiful sunflower seeds. We've talked all day about planting seeds and growing your life. This is a symbol of that. You can get a packet by just emailing office@abqcsl.org, and we will get this packet to you. And my hope is that everybody that has received this plants these and participates in that miracle of watching these seeds grow. And as you do that, I would love us to all send out our love to anyone in the world that is experiencing war and suffering. This is the way that we create the world that works for everyone, and we join together in that way. So, you achieve that goal of being love in action. The next thing we do around here in our mission is we profess that we would like to transform lives. I'm going to speak to that in a second, and I'm going to skip to the third one, which is more germane to the conversation that we're having with our friends in the Menara Muslim community of transforming communities. And that sounds so huge and impossible. So what can I do? What can I do to make that happen? March 28th, Monday at 5:30 p.m., you can be here in this room, and we are going to take this into conversation. And we are involved actively in furthering the work that Jane Midgley has started in this community to really talk about social justice. We call it social uplift, to keep it in that beautiful growth metaphor that we're experiencing today. Show up and make your voice heard, and we are going to be exploring the ways that we are all the same and the ways that we are different, and celebrating those and coming up with real ways of creating this community, which I cannot wait to continue to do with the Menara Muslim community. So the other thing that you can do in that transforming communities is through your gifts of time and talent and treasure. We're speaking around the time and talent by participating. The treasure you can give, and there's ways on our website, abqcsl.org, to give. There's a donate section there. There's also on the screen, for those of you at home, there's a text to give number, or people in the building that want to text. You just jump on your phone, 505-847-8431. All of the contributions of treasure go to create all of what we're talking about here today. So that's a beautiful way to do it. There's also a QR code if you just want to scan your phone onto that, and that takes you right into ways to give. And I can tell you that every single dollar that comes in this door is blessed and is appreciated and is held in an atmosphere of love and put into motion for your intention. Just as a side note, if you or anybody, this is in the Jan Nolan getting out of your comfort zone category, if anybody, either you or anyone that you know, it has a knack for AV and for online production, we would like to know that talent, and we would like to welcome you to be part of the AV team. You can reach out to Reverend Amani and make yourself or that person known to us, so that we may make an invitation for them to join in what we're doing in creating these broadcasts and sending them out into the world and creating this atmosphere that you're a part of today. It takes work, and we need to build that team out as we grow. So another way to be involved. So I bypassed that middle part of our mission of transforming lives. And I've talked about this before. There's this test that measures all of these stressors in life, major life issues that combine to cause this illusion of stress in people's lives. When I came into this community, I had every single stressor on 10. And my life is totally transformed. So it's not make-believe. This is real. And the way that we do it, and the way that I did it, was I reached out. And I reached out to practitioners. We have just a beautiful collective of practitioners in this community who are trained to have that conversation with you, whatever it is. And this is perpetual. You're always going to be in the midst of transformation, in the midst of change. Whatever area of your life that you need to know the truth of, you owe it to yourself to have a conversation with a practitioner. And that's where transformation begins. And then you just figure out your own pathway of how to express that in the world. So my invitation today is, at the end of the service, find a practitioner and make yourself known to them, and get into prayer and get into conversation with them. It will change your life, I promise. It's the law. It can be no other way. Once I got over myself and began that path, it's changed every single area of my entire life. And you can go onto our website. There's a a section in there called Get Support, and that's another way, if you don't want to do that today, to access practitioners and reach out to them. So I'd like to anchor us back into prayer and close the service that way, and then we'll read an affirmation together. So realizing all the gifts of the service that we've been a part of today together, feeling these seeds that we're planting, seeds of hope, seeds of change, seeds of curiosity, seeds of resolve. Feel those seeds anchored into the ground. We are entering the season of growth. So we take all of those seeds and we tend to them as we go back out into our lives today, being sure to water, being sure to weed and compost those weeds and create more opportunity for expansion. And I hold the knowing of that for myself, and I hold that for the knowing of each and every person in this room, online. And we let this love spiral out, and that's how we change the world. And so I just let this all be, and I am just allowing myself to feel the intense gratitude that comes with the knowing that we are not alone, we are connected in this way, and we are up to good. And so I release it, and together we say, and so it is. So to close, if you join me in reading this affirmation that we're going to put up on screen. Oh, that's not an that's a beautiful affirmation. I need Amani to handle this one. Hold on a second.
That's
Thanks,
my
Jordana.
cute kid. Thank you, Jordana, for reminding me. If you want to put that back up, then I can give correct details. So Tenzin is performing today in a talent show with the New Mexico Black Leadership Council. And if you want to watch and vote for him, the talent show is online at 3 o'clock today, Mountain Time. And how can they find the link to that? How can they get there?
It's on the NMBLC Facebook and YouTube page.
NMBLC, the New Mexico Black Leadership Council. And you can find them on YouTube and Facebook, and then you can watch the live stream of the talent show and give Tenzin some love at 3 o'clock today. I would love to have that for him. Thank you.
All right. So let's all affirm all of this together today as we close. Today, I listen with my heart to the voice of Spirit guiding me and love. And so it is. Have a beautiful day, everyone.